Let's go back and talk about that extraordinary quarter from Apple. The company's net income rising almost 50% on back-to-school demand for iPhones, iPods, and Mac computers. Let's talk more about this with Piper Jaffray analyst Gene Munster. Gene has been recognized with awards from Institutional Investor, Forbes, and the Wall Street Journal. Gene, it was an extraordinary quarter. You're raising your price target on Apple shares to $277. I just read your note, and in fact, you're saying that had it not been for some headwinds, Apple actually might have done better. So as we look forward to the fiscal first quarter, this quarter that we're in right now, what are you expecting from this company?
Well, they were production constrained on the iPhone, so they had a phenomenal iPhone quarter, 7.4 million units. That number would have been higher. We don't know how much higher, but it would have been higher if they would have actually had inventory available when people came into the stores. So through our checks, the first 2 months of the quarter were production constrained with the iPhone. They finally reached equilibrium in the beginning of October. So what does that mean is that the iPhone, even though it had a strong September quarter, it appears to be setting up for even a stronger December quarter. And so as impressive as these results were yesterday, I think that the December quarter is setting up to be equally as impressive.
Okay, Gene, Apple has come out with some new iPods. They're lower priced. We do expect some new iMac computers. You talk about that in your note as well, but it does seem to be an iPhone story. Is that how you view this stock?
Yeah, I mean, the Mac is definitely a rising tide here. I don't want to not recognize that that's an important part of the story. But if you really look at what's the inflection point, it is the iPhone. The price on the iPhone basically went up by 10% in the quarter, which is just unbelievable because if you look at all the other smartphone companies, their price of their products are going down. So the fact that the iPhone is actually, Apple's able to get increasing prices from the carriers is surprising. And second is, I mean, these are $600 ASPs for this phone. So in a sense, they're small computers that they're selling. And so even though you think of it as just a phone that you may pay $200 for at retail, Apple's getting $600 for these. So the iPhone part of the story, the addressable market side, is something that is clearly probably the biggest delta in the story over the next year.
Gene, one thing I got to get in, we've only got about 20 seconds left. Apple is moving away from these carrier exclusivity agreements. Is that going to hurt these ASPs, these average selling prices for the iPhone?
Surprisingly, on the call last night, they said that it won't, which I think was probably one of the bigger takeaways from the call, is that the management stated that despite the fact they have multiple carriers, they expect to maintain their ASPs when they go from exclusivity to multiple, which just shows you the demand for the iPhone.
Gene, thanks very much. Piper Jaffray analyst Gene Munster on Apple's amazing quarter.